Nashville for an episode of The Grind. We have three amazing writers here with us today. Country duo, Tigirlily.
Hello.
Hi.
And Daniel Ethridge.
Hi.
Hi. So for those of us who are maybe just here for the first time, I want to tell you a little bit about The Grind. Basically, American Songwriters partnered with some music publishers in Nashville. Today we're at Smack Songs, and we're talking to the writers and kind of taking you behind the proverbial curtain of songwriting.
Love it.
And letting people know about the special sauce.
Love it.
And so that's what we're going to be diving into today. But before we do that, I would really love for you guys just to give yourself like individual intros. So everybody who's just seeing you for the first time knows who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Krista, half of the duo Tigirlily, and we are sisters. For anyone who says, oh, we kind of look alike. Yes, we are sisters. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Kendra, and we started doing music together 8 years ago now.
Wow.
And we've always loved writing. That's been a big part of what we've always done. But we moved to Nashville over 4 years ago now.
From North Dakota.
Yes, North Dakota, Midwest spirit. And then in this last year, we signed our first record deal and publishing deal.
Congratulations.
Booking agency deal. Like, lots happened this year. So it's been a very humbling and very great year for us. But, you know, we've been doing it for 8 years. So it kind of feels like we finally had that, like, breakthrough, push through moment, whatever you want to call it. So
It's funny how people think there's like overnight success, but like the
not
context there is 8 years of work. Probably started singing before that, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Daniel?
I'm Daniel Ethridge. I was born in LA and then spent the formative years in Austin, and so that's kind of where I learned about writing songs and playing guitar and like just trying to rip off Stevie Ray Vaughan like every other kid does when they're, you know, trying to impress girls. And I've been in Nashville. August was 8 years, so I've been in Nashville now for 8 years, playing and writing and doing the thing. And just this month, I'm in a band called Troubadour Blue that's getting ready to launch. And just this month, we signed our agency deal and our management deal, and so we're going to be out on the road a lot next year, playing shows and you know, doing what these girls are doing.
Oh my God, it's so exciting to get to do that after, you know, the pandemic and just being able to book stuff again is such a joy, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's like the best. Like no matter, we spent a lot of our pandemic year doing TikToks and Facebook Lives and you know, just live streaming everywhere. And when you get back to like actually playing in front of people, it's like there's just no comparison. Honestly, like as much as I, you know, love doing TikToks in our kitchen, there's just, it's just much better being there with a live
Even
audience.
saying that, it's like,
Oh my God. Okay, so you have the sister vibe going on. How far apart are you guys in age?
2.5 years. So Krista's 23 and I'm 25.
Okay.
Yep.
Was music big in your family? Like when you were younger, were you around music a lot or?
Actually, no. So our mom and dad, and we have another younger sister, none of them are musical. They don't really sing, they don't play instruments, but they always encouraged music at a young age. They always had music going. Our mom encouraged us like to take piano lessons. She bought me my first guitar at the age of 10. They were always very encouraging and supportive. Our dad would drive us to shows. Our mom would help book us shows, help sell our merch. Our younger sister would also help sell merch. So it wasn't a family affair in that way. But we don't really know. I mean, we have our faith, so we kind of believe it was God-given, but we don't really know where it comes from, honestly. But we grew up singing together, and Kendra actually fell in love with performing first. Like our grandma forced her to do this talent show in Montana, small county fair.
Talent competition.
Yeah. She didn't like the competitive aspect of it, but she got on stage and sang, I think, It Happens by Sugarland, and she caught the performing bug right away.
Oh my God, Sugarland. Is that like a big...
That's a big influence for us. Honestly, I listen to Jennifer Nettles. Like I'm a little bit more of an alto. Like I like to do the powerful belting stuff, but like the alto-ness is like, I don't know, I love that. And I'm a little less like, she's more southern than me, so she's got the twang, you know. I'm from North Dakota, so it'd be a little weird if I had that much twang. But I got a lot of like, I feel like my vocal like inflections and things like that from listening to her. And we listen to a lot of groups with harmony, like Rascal Flatts, you know, the Chicks and Sugarland and Band Perry, even like all those groups were kind of hot, you know, in that early 2000 era, and that was what was on the radio and what we would listen to. And a lot of Christian music, and even a lot of like, this is kind of a funny reference, but like a lot of even like Justin Bieber.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I listen to every Justin
Bangers.
Bieber album. Yep. So
Every
that pop
time.
influence, Taylor Swift. I mean, we listen to all of that. So.
LA, I'm sure growing up, LA was a little different.
Yeah.
Different music influences.
Yeah, I think a big thing.
You weren't listening to Justin Bieber?
No, I was listening to like a lot of Jesse McCartney.
Oh, okay, that's dope.
But my dad is a little older than like most kids like our age parents. So my dad was born in '52. So for me growing up, like until middle school, I genuinely thought the Beatles were pop music, like contemporary, because it's all we listened to. So all that I listened to growing up were like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Stones and the Eagles, and so like that it was all this like guitar driven stuff, so that by the time I started playing when we'd moved to Austin, fun fact, we moved to Texas. I come from a military family, moved to Texas, and my dad's like, oh my God, we're in Texas now, we can have guns, right? Which that politically
it's
doesn't
not.
matter. But what's funny is my mom's a preacher, and so after like the second one, she's like, no more. And as a kid, I was like, I had money saved up, and she was like, no more guns. And my dad's like, you can buy a guitar. And to be completely candid, camp rock was super popular at the time.
Okay, yeah.
Jonas Bros.
And at late, 11-year-old me is like, guitar. And you know how most kids like, I wanted to be Clapton. I was like, I think I want to be Kevin Jonas.
Why
like-
Kevin out of all of them?
Well,
too?
because he was the one like playing lead. I was like,
yeah.
that's dope. And
He
so-
carried the music.
Yes, yes.
It was like band leader vibe.
Yeah, and
right?
so I was like, that's dope. And so that's like why I really got heavy into guitar, is because I was like, that's cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Kevin Jonas. Thank you, Kevin Jonas.
Thank you, Kevin Jonas.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Mathis, you're
hey,
waving me down. You got
What's
a
up,
question
guys?
from the audience?
Yeah, we got someone on the chat asking, Battles War for Music says, what's your favorite Eagle song, Daniel?
What are we going for? Like,
I guess
okay.
you can go any year.
Of all
I
time.
think
Yeah.
I think The Long Run is one of my favorite vocals of all time, and that guitar tone that I think it's Joe Walsh on it is playing. I feel like has kind of just transcended decades, and like people still rip off that sound. Hotel California is super important.
Classic.
Timothy Schmidt's vocal in Sad Cafe is also important, but I'll go with The Long Run on that one.
Okay. I love that. Very decisive. So let's talk about what brings you guys to Nashville in the end. You came directly from North Dakota?
Yes.
Oh my
so
God.
we grew up, born and raised in North Dakota, and we always have been country music fans. And we were inspired by other people who had moved to Nashville before us, but everyone you talk to is like, you have to get to Nashville. Like, we were playing so many shows around North Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, heavily touring the Midwest and doing really well there. And we're like, what's the next step? And we had recorded projects in Nashville before, and
So you visited?
Yes.
Yeah, so we had been a couple of times and kind of caught the bug, and we're like, okay, but visiting Nashville and physically leaving everything you know and moving to Nashville is another thing. And we're very lucky because we had each other to move with each other. We moved at the same time. But we decided, hey, we can stay in our comfort zone in the Midwest and tour forever here, and it would be fine. It'd be great. But if we really want to take this next step, take that leap of faith, we have to move to Nashville. So in 2017, the year after I graduated high school, we're like, okay, we're packing everything up. We love you, Mom and Dad, but we're going to Nashville.
And then we started going to Belmont University, which is how we met Daniel over
Okay.
here. So that's kind of our connection. And then we were playing, if you've ever been to Nashville, there's the strip called Broadway, and there's all the honky tonks and the bars. And we started playing 3 to 4 times a week. Basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we would play 4-hour shows every weekend.
Wow, hitting it.
To, pay rent. And also we literally were like, I don't care what we're doing, we just want a job doing music, because that's all we've ever done and all we ever want to continue to do. We don't care what we have to do, as long as we're doing music, like, that is
Might always
the
be
goal.
the most glamorous kind of music.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Not always glamorous, and you don't have a voice after 12 hours of singing on a weekend, but worth it, and you learn so many cover songs. I mean, you learn so much, and it honestly has helped our writing in so many different ways, learning all those different songs, and even just how to work with a crowd who doesn't know anything about you, and you're like, how do I capture these people and make them, a fan of Tigirlily and what we do, and Yeah. So,
Yeah, Nashville can be intimidating right away though. But we knew we had our manager lived here and a couple other friends, but not much. I mean, there's not a ton of North Dakotans that move down to Nashville on the daily, I will say anyways.
Yeah, so Daniel was one of the first people when we moved to Nashville that we wrote with, so that's why I was like, we should invite Daniel today to do this live with us. He's
So
like
y'all
one of the
go back.
homies.
You go back
Yes,
to college.
like week 1.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
We were like so like freshly new to Nashville, like, hi, we're Tigirlily.
Oh, we're from North Dakota.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do remember yours in particular. She was like, I'm from North Dakota. I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah,
I can hear
for
that.
sure. Yeah.
It's neutraled out a little bit, but yeah,
So did you start
goes.
writing songs together immediately, or did you just kind of like slowly build a friendship, or how'd you guys start writing together?
Both. We had to vibe it out first to see if we even like we did have a writing session and to see if it was even anything there. And honestly, every time we've written, we've gotten something quality. Like there's never been a time where we've been in a session together. But I feel like we really liked writing with Daniel because Daniel has more of this like kind of like sensitive, like rustic, like.
No, I feel like one of Daniel's best strengths is that he has a very honest
yeah.
approach to writing, which
Yeah.
is very refreshing. Sometimes you can get lost in like just the energy or the hustle and bustle of Nashville, and like, oh, what do people want to hear? What do people want to hear? But Daniel's
Yeah.
like, well, what do you want to write? What do you want to say? So let's be honest, and he actually helped write Kendra's wedding song too.
He did.
A while
Really?
back.
That's
So.
true.
Happy to have him be a part of that. So he's always just been an honest approach, and it doesn't really matter like what's going on, where you're at in your career. It's like, no, let's just write really good quality music, and whatever happens, happens. So
Is that, characteristic like you all look for in all of your co-writers now? Like someone you just vibe with and can like be around and like pulls the, the authentic out of you? Is that like what you guys need, or?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's like we have such a specific thing that we do as artists. And so if we're going into a write, like specifically thinking of like, we want to write a song for Tigirlily today, we do better if someone's there to like be an asset versus running over the write. Because
yeah.
if we feel like we're not like saying what we want to say as artists enough, then we don't feel like the song necessarily
fits
us as much, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'm kind of talking in circles a little bit, but
No, it totally makes sense.
it really depends on what you're writing for. So Daniel does his artist thing, but he also helps a lot of other artists write as well. So you probably,
because I don't know,
interested to see what your mindset is on that. Like, what
Yeah.
do you go into a write looking for, kind of?
Well, it just it depends. If I'm writing for me as an artist or writing for Troubadour Blue, like I don't really actively seek out writers that I know are gonna like always seek truth, because I know that like I sit pretty comfortably in that lane, and so a lot of times like I know that I'll need writers that are like, hey, we can tweak this melody a little bit more to make it more singable, to make it more catchy, to make it like more approachable from a commercial standpoint, because I'll just sit there and write like little poems to myself and everyone's like, what the hell is this? Whereas I feel like there are a lot of times that I was just in a coffee meeting this morning talking to a producer in town, and he was like, a lot of times I have to make sure that when I'm working with artists, I bring in a writer that does they're really centered on the truth, because genuinely, not these two, but like there are a lot of artists in town who like have something to say, but I don't know that they've really learned how to really say it clearly and like commit to what they want to say. And so you need writers like Shane McAnally,
I know.
who can be like, hey, like I hear you, like I think this is what you're trying to say. Do you agree? Yes, cool. Let's go that way.
Wow.
we also look for a room that like we like to do like kind of fun, quirky lyrics in a lot of our stuff, to just make it a little more
Us. It's
Yeah.
like we're not trying to be quirky. It's like, oh, let's write this because we think it's cool or it's quirky. It's like, no, this is actually what we would say.
maybe we would say this,
in
and
a normal conversation.
so if a writer is in that session going, yeah, let's try it, that's great, versus like
Shutting it down.
shutting
No,
it down.
don't ever do that.
If
Right.
you start shutting ideas down too much, it's like, well, we can't vibe. We're not expanding or exploring or
Right.
like trying new things. So
It's a healthy balance.
just an open, fun room where all is like okay to say.
Free and safe.
Yeah, it's
Literally-
free and safe.
yes,
safe
literally
space.
creative. I remember like early on here when I was working with a lot of like the majors in town, I would get set up with older writers, and very regularly I'd sing a melody and like I grew up singing in church, like I
same,
grew up
yeah.
like listening to singers who could like sing, and so I was like, cool, we can sing these like screaming melodies. And I remember very regularly I'd hear these older writers be like, no one can sing that. I'm like, I just sang it. Clearly, clearly one person in this town exists that can do this, right? Like Dan and Shay's on the radio, like Stapleton's on. People can do it. Rascal Flatts are super famous, you know.
Look at Carrie.
And,
She's been
right. And
rangy, you know.
I remember
Alphabet.
super early on, older writers all the time, being like, well, no one can sing that. And what I think is really cool now, I actually had a moment earlier this week when we were, signing our agency deal. One of my friends was like, I'm so proud of you because y'all are getting signed based on like those songs that you were like, nah, I'm singing this. Like, I'm doing the thing. And it's the same with them of like, you need to have collaborators that are like, do you think you can do it? Yeah, okay, let's try it.
Or push you to do it.
Yeah.
Know you can do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know my voice, even in just the last 4 years of being in Nashville, it's like, I listened to demos that I did right away. Being here, first of all, my North Dakota accent is so strong. And then, but like you can tell that I was still trying to find my voice a little bit. And now
stylistically what you do.
So now when I hear myself sing or listen to demos, I'm like, just how much you can grow and people around you, that your producers and, people like Shane, and we have another producer, Louis, who are like, Kendra, come on, you can hit that note. What are you
Pushing
talking about?
you
Yeah,
to
and you're like,
do your best. and you
okay, can I? And then you like grow into your confidence, and you're like, I can do that. And so you just grow and you figure all that out. But
to that point, I think it's really incredible, especially like being friends with the two of you as long as I have. It's really incredible to see how unique each artist is, just like once they settle into themselves. Because a lot of times as creatives, like we're growing by attempting to imitate the people that we look up to, right? That's kind of how you find your own identity. And then you kind of get to a point where you see your friends, they have this like really strong identity, but it's kind of because they're finally like, no, this is what I do.
This is it.
And a lot of times like it's really, really cool, but it takes a long time to be like, no, this is me.
but that's usually when people break through, is when they finally are like,
They can stand on solid ground, like, this is who I am. Like, as Tigirlily, we've come to a point where we've been doing music together for 8 years, 4 years in Nashville, but it's like, we walk into a room, it's like, we know what we would or wouldn't say. Yes, we can try new things and always push boundaries and stuff. We know kind of like what vocal range we both sit into, where like, if we're gonna play this live for the rest of our lives, it's gotta be something we can sing, too. And it's like, we're not gonna be pushed or walk over, like, if it's not, we know what's Tigirlily at this point very strongly, but we didn't just get there. We didn't wake up one day and say, oh, this is exactly what we stand for. Like, it takes hundreds and hundreds of songs to work through, and it's like, that's a cool song, but not for me. And like, it's just a maturity thing in writing and experience.
But it's also never set, because you're always growing and you're always finding new things. And like, this EP that we just put out was 110% exactly who we were at that time. And the next project we eventually put out, it might be a bit different than that. It's like the Taylor Swift thing. It's
like you're like 2 years ahead of your fans emotionally, because you make this music and you have to do this waiting game to share it with everybody.
Maybe a year and a half. But it is interesting because this whole last EP, we were coming off like pandemic year, and we were coming off
a weird year to
even just like where we were at as individuals, because we're a duo, so it's like each song might be maybe a little bit more Kendra as far as where she's specifically at in her life, or more me where I'm specifically at in life, with relationships, with everything, life in general. So it's like this last EP, you can definitely tell where we were both at in life. And we have a song called My Thing, which literally at the time was like, Kendra, me, like,
swept off my feet, swiping on Tinder, 27 dress, or diving on my finger.
Feeling pretty, feeling ugly. Like, I want kids, but I'm good with nieces. Like, Kendra gets baby fever sometime. I'm like, heck nah, like, not right now. Like, it's funny. I don't know. The whole song was just like Kendra, me.
Just a continuous like train of thought, basically, where we're at.
But it is funny because we're still heavily like, we just released that music, and now I'm in like a healthy, good relationship, and now I'm writing all these love songs, which people won't get to hear for another maybe year. But it's like, it's funny because my boyfriend now, he's like, you have to like, write all these breakup songs still. But I'm like, I still have to though. I still have to say,
what? There's 3 songwriters here in healthy relationships.
Oh my God! We've done it. We've done it.
This is not usual, right?
Never happens.
This isn't regular.
It doesn't happen unless everyone in the room is like above the age of 60.
We're all in like happy places in our lives. This is
Oh my
great.
gosh, I love that. Well, I want to dig into something that I know is really complex. As a writer, artist crossover, which you all are, how do you know which songs are for you or which songs are meant to be pitched? And like, do you know it as soon as you start, or how does it unfold?
I don't always know.
No, I don't always know. I mean, when the song's done and I listen to it the next day, I can pretty much immediately feel like if that's something we do or not. And it's not always that it's a bad song, it's just sometimes like that's not quite what we were going for. You know, it just missed the mark a little bit. And at this point in our career, we're like, if it's not 110% what we want to say and do at this point, it's like, it might not be a bad song, it just might not be the right time even, or the right thing for us. And so
I shouldn't say we don't know. We don't know the day of, necessarily. Like, we'll go down to the right and be like, that was good. I don't, but I like it. I don't know whether I like love it though. And we have to come back to it the next day and like listen with our other songs.
then we're like,
listen back. Like we have a song off this last EP that is our favorite song now, and I walked out of the right that day. I'm like, it was okay.
Right.
And I come back to it, I'm like, oh,
the best thing I've written.
Yeah, in love with it. So you have to give it time. You have to sit with it. Because obviously a lot of people walk out of the right like, oh, this is always the best thing I've ever written. Or some people are very self-deprecating, like, this is always complete crap.
It's always bad.
Yeah. So you have to, for us, we have to give it time to sit with us.
The hardest part probably, maybe for you too, is like you start writing so much, you're like, I don't know the difference. Sometimes whether this is like, is this groundbreaking or is this like everyone else? You know, because you just start writing so much, your head just
Listening
gets filled.
fatigue, writing fatigue.
It is a little bit like listening and writing fatigue. So then you do have to have some outside like input, but you can feel it in your soul, like which ones are the right fit for you.
Is it the same way with you?
No. Because Sean McConnell talked about this. I heard him on an interview a few years back where someone had asked a similar question. And I don't know if you've listened to him, but he's a prolific writer and producer and everything. And he kind of came to it from the space of like, everything's always kind of for sale. Because just because someone else cuts it doesn't mean that I can't on my own record. But at the same time, I feel that as creatives and writers, we have to be arrogant enough to think that the thing we write tomorrow could be better. And you were talking about the demos earlier, right? That you heard, like, from when we first came here, they were probably not great. So, like, I'm always going to assume that, like, Daniel 2 years down the road is going to outright Daniel right now.
For sure.
And so,
I hope so.
yeah,
Keep growing, right?
I would assume so. Otherwise, I'm screwed, and I should have been a doctor. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, if the Smack team or Warner or whoever was like, "Hey, we love this song, so and so wants to cut it," I'd be like, "Yeah, take it."
Let's dig into that, because I feel like people
we're
don't
not like
understand
that
that process.
as much,
Like,
yeah.
what is the process of you have a demo and you're like, I could gut this, I could give it to someone else, it's in the hard drive. Like, what is the process of deciding what to do with it?
I'm gonna let them field that whole question.
So we're a little bit different than Daniel because we are very like
Protective of.
We're more protective over like specific songs. So we recently signed to Smack, so we're pretty new here. We're you know, getting our feet in the door here, and you know, we've started to send songs in, and if we feel protective over it, we'll just be like, hold for Tigirlily. Even if we don't know if we're cutting it yet, we just don't want
Someone else to,
if we feel very strongly about it, and if not, we'll be like, go ahead and pitch this if it works out. But otherwise, it's like, no, hold for Tigirlily.
We'll probably revisit some of those holds. Like, obviously, you can't cut everything you hold, obvious. But like, I was like, there's still a chance for her to cut this, and I'm like, just to be, we played a little. Safe, I don't know if it's the right word. We played a little safe of like, hey, this is something Tigirlily would do, and if there's a chance it could be cut, and we haven't met with our producer yet to go through songs yet. It's like, let's hold this. If it doesn't make this next round, maybe let's revisit it and see. And maybe, because, you know, like, it'll be another 2 years from now, maybe we release music, and it's like, that was Tigirlily 2 years ago, so let's just pitch it now, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't like. I think it's unfair for you to say it's playing it safe, because it's not. That's just like a sound business decision. You
smart,
know?
I like that better.
Like, no, truly, and to be honest, like, the band I'm in, like, we just signed booking and management, right? they're signed to a label and a publisher. Like they are responsible to like other business entities. You know,
Right.
like I'm responsible to me and my wife and like my booking team, right? Like it's different. So I can be a little more like, yeah, I don't care, you know? Whereas with y'all, like there's a whole label
So
team.
much strategy.
And so it'd be could you imagine if like they had like a surefire #1 in their pocket? Like, yeah, it's okay, give it away, and the label team would be like, holy, why did you do that? You know,
Right.
like it's you know, it's super easy for me to be like, yeah, whatever, but like there are all sorts of extra things to consider with them, which is why I'm like, you're not playing it safe. Like that is a sound business decision.
Strategic
Yeah,
business.
yeah, absolutely.
I like that better. Play the strategic.
Yeah.
Start saying that now.
And how did each of you all talked about this confidence, and sometimes, you know, there might be a little bit of rejection on a song that you're very sure of and you're like, what's going on? I'm sure about this. How do you build that confidence in that, like, knowing like this song is important and we're gonna do it, you know?
Can I answer this one first?
Go ahead. I'll take a step at it after.
My mom is Korean. I'm a crazy person. Like, I don't know if y'all like ever watch K-dramas or just get on like K-drama Twitter. But
this answer.
people always joke that like Korean men are like is like arrogant as you can be. But the thing is like, and I mean this sincerely, culturally, like I talk to my wife about this all the time. My mom raised me, she's like, you're a genius. Like if you try, you can win.
I love that though.
Like,
Confidence.
And so like from a very early age, like I grew up playing cello and piano, and I played in symphonies, and I did the thing, and I like won writing contests as a kid. I have a signed poster from the Lakers that Kobe signed because I won.
Oh,
Yeah,
rest in peace,
yeah, that's
Kobe.
probably my biggest victory.
Jeez.
But for me, like that like confidence, that's why earlier I was like, I'm arrogant enough to think I can do this, is that from a very early age, like my mom genuinely did instill that. And like the longer you stay in Nashville, you better believe that
Yeah.
song is good enough. Because
Yeah.
until you have a whole label team, no one believes that song is good enough.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
shout out mom. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
we gotta give it up for mom.
Oh,
there.
for sure.
Yeah, yay!
Yes. Korean moms everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like all of us, yeah. The fact that we all moved to Nashville in the first place is we were a
Gutsy.
little.
You have to
I
be
don't know,
nuts.
I don't know if we're a little
nuts.
ignorant or
Yes.
arrogant, but it's
All
a little
of
bit
it.
of both. You know?
Yes.
Like a healthy confidence. Our situation is a little more unique. It's like, yes, we are confident in what we do as Tigirlily. Our dynamic between us is different though. Like I always say, so Kendra's the lead singer of our group. I do harmony guitar, but we're both like 50-50 writing. Like we are very both involved in
I
writing.
love that.
But
We have different strengths.
We
though,
definitely
for
do.
sure.
I'm like definitely a little bit more confrontational, or just more assertive to where like if there's a song I believe in, our manager or producer could be like, no, I think that sucks. I'm like, I will live or die by this. Put it on the CD. And I'm like, I do not care. If this ruins our career, I do not care.
And I was like, I
Which is gonna ruin our career,
care.
but,
I
like-
care. I don't want our career ruined.
So there's a nice balance. I was like, I have the attitude of the lead singer, but I'm not the lead singer, so it balances out.
I respect that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I know my place, so we're fine. And then Kendra's more like, can, you know, reel me back and be like, hey, let's see what other people have to say and like see if we believe it. But
we both have to like it first, yeah.
we never make a decision though. We're very good about like, we talk about stuff before, like if we go into a producer meeting or even like label meetings, all that. It's like we are very on the same page before we let anyone else come in on
United
like with their
front.
opinions.
United front,
Sister
sister.
vibes.
Like if we don't agree on something, first of all, like
not gonna
it's
work.
just not going to work. So we both have to be obsessed with the songs before going in. And it's like there are songs that I probably like a little bit more than Kendra, and I'm like, if you don't dig it though, it's not going to work. You're going to be the one singing this on stage every night if you don't feel like it's true to you.
Right.
But we usually, it's weird. Like I'm going a little bit off tangent, but
No, please.
we usually
Take us.
agree on Tigirlily songs for the most part.
Maybe that's what makes you such a great team.
usually
It's
start
a
to
telepathy thing, man.
And it's like I said, we're both different personalities, different people, different phases of life. But like for Tigirlily, we've like defined it so much to where we know what's a Tigirlily song. We'll both have our like indie whatever solo records in like 10 years down the road or something.
You'll
but
do like a punk emo thing.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yes.
do sad like piano stuff.
yeah, but for
I'll play on that
Tigirlily,
record.
yeah. I heard Josh McLeave's gonna do the Paramore record.
Oh,
so-
hell yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can do
Sorry.
the makeup and the
Yeah.
Just
nails.
Kevin Jonas covers. I think that's what you're out here. Let's be honest.
Music's in my soul. That's Nick. Wait, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Oh, where are we? What are we talking about?
We have a question? Oh, okay.
We got a question from the audience.
Save
We
us.
got an
Let's go.
audience question, guys. Battles Wharf Music wants to know, do artists and labels really honor the song holds anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know, I guess. That's a hard question for me to know.
For us, I mean, we've been fortunate. Like, we've just started working with Smack in the label, but
We'll tell you in a year.
yeah, they've not, to my knowledge, they've not pitched
They
anything. where we said
basically,
hold.
you know, when we came in and signed this publishing deal, they were like, if you want it for Tigirlily, just mark hold. So
Ours has been good to us.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone has the same experience, though.
Right.
I feel like every time that I've heard from one of my writer friends who's, you know, they'll get like a Chesney hold or a McGraw, whatever.
Yep.
Like that sucker's on hold for like 18 months. Like there is no one gets to touch that or they lose their hand. Like
But you have to do it. You have to take the chance.
yes,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times the hold is honored, but like it's probably honored out of fear. Like it's, you know. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
To pay my rent.
Yes, for sure.
Like, Kenny Chesney might cut this, so don't even look at anyone else.
Yeah,
There's a- even if there's a
that song
chance.
doesn't even exist anymore. Yeah, don't look at it.
Don't look at it. So it has, since you've signed your deals, I know you just started a management booking deal and you're here on Smack Songs, like how have those impacted what type of doors have they opened or changed your like day to day?
Oh my gosh, it's changed everything for us, honestly.
yeah.
I mean, so Shane McAnally over here at Smack, we actually originally signed our label deal
First.
with him over at Monument.
Which is kind of backwards from a lot of the times in
Yeah,
Nashville.
so a lot of times in Nashville you sign a publishing deal and then a record deal. So we did it a little bit opposite. So we did our record deal and then publishing deal, but we played like 3 songs for Shane, and that was literally the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life because I'm like, this is Shane McAnally.
Shaking
Like,
in your boots.
He's like my songwriting idol in Nashville. Like I
Hits.
am dying.
So many hits.
And like, to give a little background, so like we were doing fine. Like we had independently been doing music for 8 years, making a living, writing our own songs, doing fine. This is back in, you know, kind of pandemic year. We were going from posting videos on TikTok to we get a call and it's like, hey, Shane McAnally, who we had not met before, we don't know him. He's like the god up above.
Totally random.
You know?
God of Nashville.
Yeah. And he's like, wants to meet with you next week. And like a call like that is just like, like I get like,
Yeah, and then he really just loved like our sound and what we were doing, and you know took on the whole producer role, which is we were like we just want to write with him at some point.
Right.
So for him, you know, to step in as producer, and now we're on his label, and then like has us signed to Smack. Like to us, that's a total dream. Like we still think about it, and we're like, this year has been so weird. If you would have told us this would have happened like 2 years ago, there's no way we would have believed you ever. Like we would have just been like, you're joking. Yeah, sure. But like, he's so cool because he's the kind of person who, you know, he has hits and beyond anyone's, you know, wildest dreams. But he still comes into the room with you and just makes you feel so comfortable and really just accentuates like what you already do. He's like, I'm not trying to change anything y'all do. I just want to like bring my, you know,
Expertise.
touch to it and like,
It's a good mentor.
which is great, yeah. And so it's been really cool. I mean, he'll send us texts every once in a while, just like encouraging us, and I'm just like, I still get like a little nervous. I'm like, Kristen, you just like text.
how long, like, it's like dating, like, how long should I wait to text back to Shane McAnally? Like, I don't know, like.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, but I'm very thankful we're sitting here.
It just shows that, like, you,
never know.
and, like, yeah, I think naturally you do have to have a little bit of luck, but it also, when you had that luck and, like, we got that call, it's like, we had songs ready to go. You know what I mean? We were
Right.
ready to play. We were ready, like, hey, if this doesn't go well, we presented ourselves in the best way we could, and there's
Yeah.
nothing we can do about
You
it.
did everything to prepare yourselves. You're
Yeah.
playing the live shows, cataloging songs. You know, you'd formed your sound over 8 years,
Yeah.
which is
And it needed that. Like we talk about.
Oh,
We-
I was
I know what you mean.
convinced at 14, like, I'm Taylor Swift,
I am Taylor
sign me
Swift.
now.
we're ready. We're so ready.
Get
now
back to
we're
that
like-
lead singer attitude. No, I'm just kidding.
And now we're like, no,
that would have been a nightmare.
this was the time. You
But
know,
back
like,
to that crazy thing. Like you do have to have that stroke of crazy in you to get you going when you're young, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise you guys never would have started, and that's like why, you know,
Yeah.
all
they
this
say,
has happened
yeah,
for you.
they say we're all crazy and we never grow up, which is kind of probably.
Yes, I'm a child. I feel like we do need to go on record and say that like playing those Broadway gigs, because I've done them, not regularly like these two crazies.
Yeah.
But like people talk about like paying their dues and all that. Like these two, like that is super hardcore. Like
Yeah.
like playing those, like playing the Broadway gigs, learning those cover sets. Like and everyone's like, oh, I cut my teeth in Nashville. I'm like, you played one round and you were broke for a month. Like these two have, you know, like I've gone and played every dive bar in Texas and Georgia, and I've done the thing, but these two to like go and do it, I feel like so many times people are like, oh, these baby artists were just like given the thing. I was like, no. They did it. Like, if I ever see that on social media, I'll fight someone. And I'll go to war.
Yeah.
I love it.
People have been pretty nice so far, but I feel like we've been so good about sharing our journey with people. Like, they know we've been doing this for... And, like, yeah, there's been a lot of new people who have discovered us this year with all, you know, that's been going on. But then they can look back and say, like, oh, they've been releasing music for a long time now. But thank you, Daniel. That's very nice.
I love it. Guys, we got to cut to a quick ad here. We'll be right back with Tigirlily and Daniel Ethridge.
Woo!
Hello, and we're back with The Grind. We're going to get some live performances here. Tigirlily, you want to kick it off? Tell us about the song. And
So we said we're going to do some unreleased songs today. We have a bunch of music out, but
Unreleased.
unreleased is so fun, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many songs that who knows if we'll ever cut, but we love to play them anyways. But this is one we wrote with a guy named Walker Hayes, and he's actually here at SMAC, and he's amazing. But we love writing with him because he's also very honest and like just different, you know, with his writing. And
He doesn't shut anything down, which is
right.
like... But at least it like ventures into it.
We came in. I had an idea on my notes, and it was called like "It's Time to Go Home." And home is a place that's really special to us, being from North Dakota, and just our state is so just supportive of what we do. And honestly, like you get into the hustle and bustle of life, and there really truly is, whether you love it or hate it, nothing like home. It's always a piece of you and a part of you. And so we wrote this on a day when we were just like, it's time to go home. Grew up in a town where all the kids dream of leaving. That one stoplight didn't even count 'cause it was blinking. Mom's gotta be tired, guilt tripping me to visit. Swore all the way to Nashville I wouldn't miss it. So why do I miss it? It's time to go home. It's time to slow down. Spent my whole life getting lost. I could use a little found. And something calls me like a Sunday song. Where I am right now, it ain't where I belong. It's time to go home. Oh, it's time to go home. I left to find myself, no I can hardly face her. Who knew chasing a dream could turn me into a stranger? They say I'm well on my way according to the world's standards. Then why do I wake up with more questions than answers? Yeah, but I'm sure it's time to go home. It's time to slow down. Spent my whole life getting lost. I could use a little found. Something calls me like a Sunday song. Where I am right now, it ain't where I belong. It's time to go home. Oh, it's time to go home. Life would be heaven if it wasn't such a mess. Guess it'll always be a trip to the good Lord's rest. It's time to go home. It's time to slow down. Spent my whole life getting lost. I could use a little found. And something calls me like a Sunday song. It's gonna feel so good to get where I belong. When it's time to go home. Ooh, it's time to go home. Feels so good to be
so much.
Just getting in our feels here today.
We can do that.
You gotta get that capo right.
Oh yeah.
Now Daniel's gonna make us all cry.
Channel the Jonas Bros.
Yeah.
You look me in the eyes. Sorry.
Stop. Okay.
This song's called Out of Love. When I first had this song idea, I'd kind of been writing it like a verse at a time, like 2 a.m, and just like really pissing off Callie. Because I'd like wake up and I'd be on my notes app and I'd be like, oh God, I have to. And for like a couple weeks, I'd been like kind of drafting verses and choruses, and I just like couldn't finish the song. I was just scared of getting it wrong, which happens a lot in solo writing. And you know, during COVID and everything, especially not having a publishing deal, and then for like a while there's not money coming in, you have to do so many things to make ends meet. I had a lot of moments where I was like, I should have been a freaking doctor. Like,
Or a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's all crossed our minds before.
Yeah,
It's all
well,
crossed our
even
minds.
like I just turned 26 and I was like, if I would have gone to med school out of high school, like I had planned initially, I'd be a doctor now. And that would have been easier than being a freaking songwriter. That's ridiculous. And so I'd written this song kind of like as a thank you to my now wife. It's funny, it's supposed to be a secret. We eloped and you have like 83,000 followers. So this is super secret. No, I said it. I said it earlier.
Oh, okay.
So this was meant to be like a kind of thank you note kind of song that turned into our wedding song. So I wrote this with me and Natasha Myers, Will Stone, and Brenna Wheeler, who's in Troubadour Blue with me. And we just cut this for the Troubadour Blue record, so see where that goes. We're a 6-speed westbound, Beach Boys playing. We're an old McGregor, Catalina sailing. With a West Texas wind in the summertime, it's your hand in mine. You dance with me at midnight, it's honey, we'll be alright. You're all that keeps me going when going gets so tough. You're the silver in the lining, you're the reason I'm still trying. You're everything, you're everything I wanted out of love. When 25 feels older than it is, when dreams don't feel as surefire as they did, when it would be so easy just to quit, you tell me not just yet. You pull me through, darling. You dance with me at midnight. It's honey, we'll be alright. You're all that keeps me going when going gets so tough. You're the silver in the lining, you're the reason I'm still trying. You're everything, you're everything I wanted out of love. Yeah. With the highs and lows, the silence in between, the things we know, the sights unseen, all I never knew I'd need. It's the I love you in your eyes, the dance with me at midnight. You're all that keeps me going when going gets so tough. You're the silver in the lining, you're the reason I'm still trying. You're everything, you're everything I wanted
I love that title.
Thank
That
you.
title is so good.
You surprised me with that big old voice. That's incredible.
Thank you.
So y'all got one more song for us
Yeah.
as well?
More. So there's like this saying that in songwriting world, like if you break up with someone, Taylor's gonna write a song about you, Miranda's gonna kill you, and Carrie's gonna bash your car or whatever, right? So
They got their things.
So we were like, how can we write a breakup song, in a different way? And it's like, if you're gonna break up with me, I'm just gonna be completely over you, and you're not even gonna be a part of my life anymore.
Like, I'm just gonna not care. Yeah.
Boy, bye. And so, we wrote this with Jason Sains and Jen Schott, and it was actually our first write with them, and they're amazing. But yeah, this is unreleased. This is called Your Ex, and
Your Ex.
hope you guys like it. Been a wreck for a week now, just when I'm seeing a break through the rain clouds. You call me, say you're lonely, and you want me stupid. Boy, do you not remember? You were the one who called off forever. I was all in, now I'm going all out. If I'm gonna be your ex, just know it's over, not coming over anymore. So you can save your breath, I'll make it easy for you to miss me even more, knowing that I'll be the best ex that you ever had. When you're looking back, the one that you'll regret. If I'm gonna be your ex. Ooh, 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 ooh. If I'm gonna be your ex, your mama's gonna miss me. A few of your friends are gonna try to kiss me. I'll be in your headlights, laying short straight on your right. You're gonna wanna move on in another city, 'cause every turn in this town will burn like whiskey. If I'm gonna be your ex, just know it's over, not coming over anymore. So you can save your breath, I'll make it easy for you to miss me even more, knowing that I'll be the best ex that you ever had. When you're looking back, the one that you'll regret. If I'm gonna be your ex. Ooh, 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 ooh. If I'm gonna be your ex. If I'm gonna be your ex. If I'm gonna be your ex, just know it's over, not coming over anymore. So you can save your breath, I'll make it easy for you to miss me even more, knowing that I'll be the best ex that you ever had. When you're looking back, the one that you'll regret. Hey. If I'm gonna be your ex. Ooh, ooh, if I'm gonna be your ex.
Hey! Unreleased song. It's Your Ex.
Your ex, baby.
Unreleased secret. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Y'all, we're gonna cut to an ad break real quick, but we're coming back. Drop your questions in the Twitch chat, and we might ask them after the break.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Tigirlily and Daniel Ethridge. If you're just tuning in, please drop your questions in the chat. We have one from the chat right
Okay.
now. I'm curious what you guys all think. Is there any limitations to country music? There's, kind of this blurred line of like genres.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's exciting because for us it's like,
I'm gonna say no first to be clear
yes,
about that.
no, and it's also exciting because people think of country music and they think it's
One thing.
one thing, but for us it's like we're in country music, and to be able to like expand that horizon and write about whatever is going on in our lives, I don't know, I think it's more exciting than like
I don't think there's limits, because I
Stipulations.
think if you're an artist and you know what you want to say, you should say it how you want to say it, and that might push boundaries and stuff, but you're being true. And country music through history has been storytelling, and B, like
pushing boundaries,
being honest.
Yeah.
Like it's not always about the melody and the fun, but it's like being honest and what's really going on right now. Do you have anything to add to that?
What do you think?
I don't think it's limiting at this point, just because like country music is really just a bunch of kids usually that have like grown up in the country, not necessarily like the South, but like with
town America.
that small town vibe. Like it's those kids wanting to make pop music essentially. Like that's what country music is, and so like that's only as limiting as you allow it to be,
Exactly,
right? Like
yeah.
if you put yourself
that.
in a box, sure, like that's
Yep.
your fault though. You
Yep.
know, like
Have you guys experienced that? Like people trying to put you in a box as artists or writers?
Not so much as artists, but like there's been times at point it's like, do we write for radio? Do we try to be like more what's happening right
Commercial,
now?
so- quote, unquote.
Right.
You have those thoughts like, do I try to fit in? And then you're like,
Nah.
it doesn't work.
Because that never works. Anyone who, like, I should say maybe anyone, but like a lot of the major people who have been successful, it's because they're unique and they've stuck to.
And it works to a point. I mean, there is like a little bit of a formula to what works, but are you ever gonna make a lasting impact with that? I don't know.
It's a balance too, because we never want, in our songwriting, we're honest to us, but we never want to be so artsy or like that no one understands what we're saying too. We want to, like, our brand, like we're accessible, we're relatable, we're trying to tell like what women are going through in their 20s, like middle of America, like just normal people, and it's so we never want to make that too over people's heads or like where they can't understand it or listen to the song and be like, what is this about? Like,
The song you just played, the lyric was something like, some of your friends are gonna try to kiss me, Avi.
Yeah.
And I love that. I was like, that is so, it's so pop, but it's still like a country song.
Right,
You know what I mean? You're still telling that story in your own way. Like,
I think people, like, there's a lot of universal recognition and relatability in just telling the truth. Like, even if you tell your own story, like detail for detail, people will find themselves in the truth that you tell.
yeah.
And so for those reasons, like, you see artists make lifetime careers out of being honest storytellers, because if you spend all of your time like trying to chase a trend, or not necessarily rips them off, but try to mimic something, eventually that creative well that you come back to is empty, because you have nothing to pull anymore, because you're not pulling from yourself, you're pulling from another source that you're not like intimately familiar with, so you can't.
It's not your well.
Right.
Oh, I love it's so deep, dude. That's deep.
Yeah.
That was deep. Whoa. We got another question in the chat. Speaking of trends, TikTok, huge right now. Everybody knows it. All the A&Rs talk about it. We get it.
Now we get it.
But y'all had a song blow up called Somebody Does. And what was the inspiration behind that? We got the question from M. Bouchon in the chat.
okay,
Might have
yes.
slaughtered that.
So Somebody Does, we were actually writing for our EP. Kind of like we were in that headspace, and we were kind of towards the end of like writing for that, and we had gone into a writing session with our friend named Zarni Vet, who we write with a lot, and she was basically like, what do you guys want to write? Do you want to write today? Y'all look a little tired. I'm like, I know we look tired, okay.
And after we talked about this writer fatigue earlier, it's like we had written so many love, breakup, life, and we feel like we covered all of our bases, and we're like, what do we even have to say anymore?
At the time, the world was not in the best place. Like everyone's sad and lonely, and you're like, do people want to hear a love song right now? Do people want to hear a breakup song? What do people like
Even care about
need?
anymore?
Yeah.
And like you need all that. But I was like, what do people need right now? And so on that particular day, we were like, well, I don't know who needs to hear this. That phrase just kept coming up, but like somebody does. Like somebody needs to hear these words. And then we went into the whole idea of like, I just think people don't understand, like, even if you're not feeling all that worth it maybe on a day, but, like, you are somebody else's whole world. Like, that concept of, like, you're somebody's reason. Even if you don't feel enough, like, you're their whole reason. And when we released it went viral on TikTok and Instagram Reels. And I think it was just, the timing of the song, too, and after a really hard year for everyone. But also, like, even if we didn't release it, I think the song just would have done well in general, because I think people were craving that sense of like belonging and like knowing how much they mattered, and that reminder,
Comforting lyrics,
exactly.
basically.
Like just basically, it's just like a big hug to let people
Song hug.
know how much they matter, and we always hope to like make and leave the world better. Like our purpose as artists and songwriters is to leave the world a little bit better than we found it maybe, and so if we can do that through music, that's the ultimate goal for sure.
I love it. Who are some of the songwriters that inspired you guys to become songwriters?
You want to go first, Daniel?
Come on, Daniel. I guess you told us a little bit.
Yeah.
Dig deeper.
Paul McCartney, Glenn Frey and Don Henley, like every other 20-something-year-old male, John Mayer. But, Stapleton, Gary Clark Jr., Laurie McKenna, just people that have historically, dug into the well and told the truth, and also like tried to make singable melodies, but
Right, because songwriting is not always about like being the most like
Vocally talented.
right, or like you don't have to be like the most on. Sometimes people just want to have fun too. Like half the music is literally I want to go out with my girls, turn it up, and it doesn't have to be always the most
Prolific.
prominent,
Right.
prolific storytelling.
But have the depth to do
those
that.
songs probably last through time longer, but you need it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need the sad, you need the happy, you need the you need
Yeah.
all of that. So like for us, even like Dolly Parton, she kind of does. She covers all those bases. You know what I mean?
She did everything.
And like Taylor Swift, like as a young
That
woman,
was like
listening
when
to her,
I mean a whole generation of probably young female, like young
Yes.
females. You're talking about,
yes,
everyone's inspired. Like, oh, she was writing her own songs, she can do it. Why can't I?
can't
You
I?
know what I mean?
Yeah,
She gave us
yeah.
the confidence, and it's like, go write about what you know. And we're just really big fans of like artists who tell their stories, but also like are super relatable to like millions of people. So you have obviously Taylor does it, like Miranda Lambert. You have now I'm blanking.
bro, Shania Twain. I hear Let's
Yeah.
Go. Like I hear Let's Go, girls. I'm lit. Like
Right? It's like
Let's go, girls.
right, still writing their stories, being relatable through time, and it's like, but also like I look at these artists too, and some of them like they still take outside cuts, a lot of them, and it's like I think a good trait of a songwriter is like being able to recognize other great songs,
there's a
whether
better
you're a part
song.
of them or not.
Yeah.
Like you just remove yourself from the situation and be like, hey, listen to this song. And I think that's something I never want to lose is like, I want to write all my stuff and be great, but like still have the ability to recognize great songs.
Speaking of great songs, do you guys have any great songs coming out?
I thought you were going with that. I was like, what's your favorite songs?
Well done. I have one coming out this Friday that I wrote with Will Stone, who we love dearly. It's called Maybe I Am the Devil, and it's funny, we were talking about healthy relationships. I wrote this a long time ago, like before meeting my wife. That's important. But really, allegedly, men are really bad at saying that they were the jerk on the other side of a breakup. And this is that whole song.
That meme?
Yeah. This whole song is like getting to the other side of the breakup and realizing you're like, I was the jerk. I was the problem. Maybe I am the devil. And so it's,
Ooh, I love that.
it'll be out in the world. My mom's a preacher. I use a lot of those. But yeah, it'll be out in the world this Friday. Everything I release is under Daniel Kim Etheridge. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I think we're approaching the end here. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us and being on another episode of The Grind here at Smack Songs, the Music Row.
Love it.
Everybody check out Daniel Ethridge's new song and Tigirlily's music that's out now.
Yes.
And follow them on all social media. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you so
This was
much.
so
Thanks for
fun.
having us.
Yeah.
Of course. All right, peace, y'all. Thanks for being here.
Peace and blessings.